Hello and welcome to Penalty on the Podcaster. I just want to talk. This is the first episode of this podcast where I really talk about what I want to talk about. Today's topic is the Denver Broncos, Russell Wilson situation. My thoughts on that situation. It's an interesting topic. The Broncos were so bad. Russell Wilson played horribly after a huge extension, getting tied to the Broncos for a very long time, getting $161 million guaranteed, becoming the second highest most player in the NFL. And the Broncos gave up 5 draft picks and 3 players to get him. And then he goes and plays terribly, and the Broncos lose a bunch. Of course, they did fire head coach Nathaniel Hackett, and they replaced him with new head coach Sean Payton. And their defense was good, but not that actually matters. So I think the sad cycle of the Broncos defense is give the ball to the offense, watch the offense not score, and give the ball away. Get back out there. You got a job to do. Just serving a dysfunctional offense that can't get anything going. That I think, the defense allowed like 42 touchdowns, I think, but the offense scored way less than that. Or maybe I mixed it up, but the offense was horrible. The defense was really good, but no one talked about them that much because they just didn't win. The offense would make their work for nothing because the point of the defense is to stop the opponent from scoring, but you can't do that all the time, and the team with the most points at the end wins. If you don't score, you still lose, even no matter how good your defense is. So it's just the story of the Broncos, and unfortunately, Russell Wilson played terribly. A lot of the blame goes to Nathaniel Hackett, but I feel like he gave Russell Wilson too long of a leash and let Russell Wilson have a bit more say in what plays they ran. And, we saw it with the Seahawks when Pete Carroll started letting Russell Wilson take a little more control of this team. They started doing poorly. And, that horrible pass interception on the goal line in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. Should have handed it off there. And it's been said multiple times that Wilson was chasing an MVP or Offensive Player of the Year over a Super Bowl. He wanted to be the hero of the Denver Broncos. And that's why the play was a passing play despite Marshawn Lynch being in the backfield. This season, he's been much worse and not connecting on his passes. There was this play in that horrible, boring, overtime Colts vs. Broncos game that was one of the worst games this season. But the last play of that was Wilson missing a wide open KJ Hamler on a 4th and 1 that would have resulted in a touchdown, but instead they lost to win the game, but instead they lost. Because he threw it to the guy with Stephon Gilmore all over him. Yeah. And that was basically the whole season. Just missing wide open guys and throwing into double coverage instead. Or other coverage, even single coverage. But he had not played well at all. And Sean Payton might put a stop to that because he won't let Russell Wilson have as much say in what plays the team runs. Sean Payton is more of a you're going to understand that I call the plays here type of guy instead of Nathaniel Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett definitely was bad, but you cannot put the blame finger on him for something like, I don't know, Russell Wilson missing a wide open target. Russell Wilson's former teammates all hate him, especially Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman loathes the guy. I'm pretty sure that guys like Javonte Williams and Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler are all really gonna start hating Russell Wilson, and especially the defense, like Pat Surtain. Yeah, they will not be. They're gonna be start getting really hateful of Wilson because he just is throwing away games at this point. And he has just been playing terribly, but he cannot be traded because no one wants him. He cannot be cut because he's got a ton of money guaranteed. He's got like $110 million guaranteed, so they can't cut him. And free agency is going to be tough because you're paying this guy $50 million a year to throw away games for you. And then the trade market and the drafts are going to be tough because there go 5 picks. And 2 of them have already passed. One of them turning into Charles Cross. And this is an unbelievably bad decision on the side of the Denver Broncos because Wilson was already definitely in his decline. And he was holding the Seahawks back. I mean, how is it possible? I really need to know how it's possible to leave a team with more than a few problems, go and make them better in the process. Go to a team that was just a quarterback away and make them way worse, from a 7-10 because Drew Lock has no idea what he's doing, and to 5-12 because Russell Wilson can't play football. And I get it. There were definitely other factors in the Seahawks getting better. Kenneth Walker, Geno Smith had a year somehow. Tariq Woolen got 6 interceptions and a pick 6. So really, there were other factors, but still, that's got to be painful for the Broncos and Russell Wilson. Can Sean Payton make them better? I think so, but I don't think he'll make them able to contend because Russell Wilson is just really, really bad. So, he got benched for Brett Rippon. And then when Brett Rippon threw a pick 6, Russell Wilson stayed benched, which is a testament to Russell Wilson's ability, skill, and the faith his coaches have in him. That hurts. He had a horrible year, blew some games, and it's like, the Broncos just gotta pray he gets better, because if Sean Payton's not the one throwing the football, there's still going to be a problem, because even if Sean Payton says throw to the wide open guy, Russell Wilson's not gonna do it. He's gonna throw to some other guy. It's just like there is a point of blame with Hackett, but still there is a big fact that Russell Wilson's play was absolutely terrible, and Nathaniel Hackett doesn't make him play like he hasn't played football before. it is just, he did not play well. It's just like, but there's a lot of hype surrounding him and how the Broncos and him are going to do because Hackett got fired. Hackett was bad and really just like, because with a bad coach, who knows? They might have a career revival, but face the fact, he is not a good player. He is not a good quarterback. He has lost most of his scrambling ability. That was just a horrible showing from him this season. How do you only score 14 points on a Rams team that has no Aaron Donald? Their secondary is beat up. Like, how do you score 14 points only on them? It's like, it doesn't seem like a possibility. But here we go. They only scored 14 points in the loss that got Hackett fired. But, like, going against the injured Rams defense with guys like KJ Hamler, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, how do you look so impossibly helpless? I don't know. Just by not being a good football player. And what the Broncos gave up, it's like, okay, Drew Lock is worse than useless. He is a cap hit, but he is really, really bad. But better than Russell Wilson, as proved, and that was proved in the 2022 season. Noah Fant caught 4 touchdowns. Shelby Harris defended like 4 or something passes. So, like, those aren't horrible numbers. So, I mean, there's that. They did give up a lot. They gave up a ton for Russell Wilson, extended him before he caught a snap for them, and gave him a ridiculous amount of guaranteed money in that extension. I mean, he is getting paid way more than Patrick Mahomes. He is getting paid more than Kyler Murray, who isn't good but still much better. I mean, Kyler Murray's kind of good, but he has some drama with his current team, which isn't good. And it's just, he's getting paid. The only person getting paid more than him is Aaron Rodgers, who won more than 5 games in 2022. Incredible. Yes, that is certainly possible. But it's just, that was a really bad showing from Russell Wilson, considering what was given up for him. I thought he was washed up when he got traded, and I thought that was going to be a bad trade, and that he was just going to play like he was washed up. I guess like Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers this season. I don't know. But he played worse than washed up. He played like a moron who could not see wide open receivers. Like, they were invisible to him. But what he did see was the receivers who were being covered pretty tightly, and so he threw to them instead. And with that football he threw away that game. Yeah. He is a lot of blame has to be on him for what happened in 2022 and the utter disaster that the Broncos were. I mean, the Seahawks made the playoffs and have a top 5 pick in the draft because the Broncos traded their first rounder and then lost. They lost a lot, while the Seahawks won a fair amount. But 5-12 is not a great way to start. Yeah, basically the best thing he did was boost morale amongst the fans by saying Broncos country, let's ride, over and over and over and over again. Outside of that, he was horrible. He did not look like he belonged on a football field. And Broncos country is definitely riding into an era where they can't sign the big name free agents because they're paying this guy a bunch of money to be a paperweight. And they're losing a bunch too. They can't trade him because no one wants him because they've seen how bad he is. And they definitely can't cut him because then he is assured to have zero production and he will, that will be $110 million more dollars. I think that they will have to pay out to him because of the guaranteed money. So they gotta pray that sometime before his contract expires, which they will almost definitely not be renewing, and at which time his career will likely end, they gotta hope that he puts up something in that season because the Broncos really are a quarterback away. They have a great underrated defense with Patrick Surtain. They've got a great running back in Javonte Williams. He did get injured, unfortunately, but he'll be back. They've got a great receiver core, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, and KJ Hamler. So, really, so much of the blame needs to go on him. The Broncos are once again, or still, a quarterback away. Once they get that quarterback, if they can, maybe Derek Carr, if they hadn't signed Russel Wilson to this monster contract, maybe they could have gotten Derek Carr. But here they are, being a terrible, terrible football team. And I have no clue how they won, 5 games. 5 seems like an awful big number for a team that atrocious. And, they don't really have much to blame for this one. It's like, yes, Javonte Williams was injured, but it's like they had good receivers that didn't get injured, and a good defense that, for the most part, wasn't injured. It's just their coach sucked, their quarterback sucked, and it's really that's all they have to blame for the disaster of a season that was the 2022 Broncos season. So, what will the Broncos do? I don't know. They'll just be praying, and they'll try to make things work with Wilson, but they may end up having to find a way to remove him from the roster and accept that the cap hits from the guaranteed money are better than paying him more and seeing that he won't produce. So that was the first episode of this new podcast podcast or extension of a podcast. I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. This episode will also be on YouTube, or if you're watching on YouTube, it will also be on Spotify. If you're on YouTube, please make sure to like and subscribe. If you want to contact me for any reason, or if you want to approach me with a sponsorship, because this is an unsponsored podcast, that will be in the description for this episode. So, I really hope you've enjoyed what I have put out here. You'll hear more of me next episode, which will be Trey Lance is overrated.